In this video, we'll be taking apart the 8849 Tank 3 Pro. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified once I upload a new video. Also, if you need any tools, there are links in the description. To start off, the SIM tray needs to be removed. We can see a red rubber gasket around the SIM tray. So in order to remove the back plate or cover, there are 12 T5 or Torx 5 screws which need to be removed. Here's a look at the strong rubberized plastic backplate. The NFC antenna is located over here. As for the glass camera lens cover, that can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying it off. So you won't need to take apart the phone to replace that. Now there are 13 Phillips screws which need to be removed. There are numerous antenna lines drawn on this plastic cover, which are the light gray lines. The dual LED flash is located here. Next to that is the dual microphones, as well as the night vision lights. Here's a look at the other side. The battery cables can now be disconnected, followed by the rest of the cables. Here's a look at the large camping lights on the back, as well as the emergency lights. We can see a red rubber gasket around the bottom speaker assembly, as well as more antenna lines. 4 more Phillips screws need to be removed. These flex cables connect the main board to the subboard. The red and black coaxial cables can be disconnected by just popping them off. At this point, 7 additional Phillips screws have to be removed. So looking at the camera assembly, we can see the 200 megapixel primary camera, the 64 megapixel night vision, a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto lens. Neither of the cameras have OIS or optical image stabilization. So looking at the main board, we can see some graphite film over the shields to help transfer heat. There's also a liquid damage indicator sticker located here. On the other side, we can see some more copper tape to help transfer heat, as well as a thermal pad over the processor and these chips. Now that the thermal pad has been removed, we have a better look at the RAM, which is seated on top of the processor. There are 13 Phillips screws which are holding down the mid-frame. Now these 3 flex cables need to be peeled off from the mid-frame. So let's take a closer look at the mid-frame with battery assembly. This phone is stated to have a 23,000 mAh battery capacity. On the sticker or label attached to the battery, it shows that there are basically 2 batteries on each side of this mid-frame, with each side totaling 11,377 mAh. So that basically comes to 22,754 mAh battery capacity. In total, there are 4 batteries, so basically 2 on either side. And these batteries are basically fused or soldered together with a controller board over here on the bottom. So if you needed to replace any of the batteries, you'd probably have to replace this entire assembly. Unless you have soldering skills and are able to do that yourself. There's also a copper heat pipe which runs in between the 4 batteries, as well as underneath the motherboard to help transfer heat. The flex cable for the infrared or IR blaster is located on top. At this point we have access to the flex cable for the screen, which is routed through an opening in the frame. So if you needed to replace the screen, you'd heat up the front where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath. You'd pry the old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply the new screen, making sure you run the flex cable back to the opening in the frame, and reassemble the phone. 7 more Phillips screws have to be removed. So here's the DCP projector, and we can see there's a huge copper block attached to this projector to help transfer heat. There's also a heatsink and a fan. So here we can see the fan, which draws in cool air from one side, and directs it through the heatsink and pushes it out the other. Another 7 Phillips screws have to be removed. There is one more Phillips screw which is hidden underneath the rubber gasket. Here's a better look at this board, which has the SIM and memory card reader. Looking at the other side, we can see the proximity sensor, which is connected with the flex cable. And here's the 50 megapixel front-facing camera. The vibrator motor is located here, which is held down with some adhesive. To replace that, just apply some heat and pry it off. The earpiece speaker is located on top, which is held in place with a cure-in-place gasket. Looking at the subboard or charger port board, we can see the charger port located here with a rubber gasket around it, as well as the headphone jack, which is connected with the flex cable. Here's a look at the other side. The primary microphone is located on the bottom corner, which is also held in place with a cure-in-place gasket. So if you need to replace any of the buttons on either side of the phone, there are 3 T5 or Torx 5 screws on either side of the phone which need to be removed, which will release the metal plates, giving you access to those buttons. For the repairability score on this phone, I give it a 4 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once everything's back together, power on the phone and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.